Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Lewis's vlog. And we started the week off with pretty much a medium grip bench press here, followed by sets of 10 on the bench. Right, this is how we started our max effort week. And again, Lewis's training is very basic because he's a late novice, early intermediate lifter who's done some rebuilding. Obviously, those who saw part one or the early parts of the series know his backstory. Now, we have a little bit of looseness there, as you guys notice him resetting the feet on the bench press. As a coach, that's kind of a no-no for me. I don't want to see that in my lifters. I want them to be set up tight and maintain their feet dug into the floor all the way through the set. But, you know, these things do happen. But his training is very basic because we have limited equipment. He doesn't need a lot of complexity, so it's not that complex. We run about the simplest version of conjugate you could. Just minor barbell variations because he only has one bar. We don't have bands, chains. We don't even have a true rack to do partials or anything. So, we just rotate through bench variations. He's got an incline bench, so we can incline. We can do some floor pressing. We can do a few different things a little bit. And then everything's just barbell and dumbbell work because this is what we have access to. So what we see on the upper body days, bench pressing, right? Rows, chin-ups. You would do some JM presses here first, triceps, lateral raises, right? And what more do we really need? We don't really need anything else. Even people say, well, what about arms? Well, does this person at this point need really bicep work? He's got chins, he's got rows. I don't think he needs it yet. We need some tricep work, but then we do tricep work, right? We do the JM presses. But, it's possible for a novice to build big triceps off of just benching and then, a single tricep exercise like that. One good tricep exercise. Okay? Chins and rows, that will handle a lot of our bicep development. We can add curls later as he gets more advanced. It's fine. Max effort lower day, we did a deadlift there, and I believe he got a PR. I think that was around 190 kilogram. He got a PR. And then again, his work is very simple afterwards. We do good mornings. He's got dumbbells, so we tend to do dumbbell lunges or dumbbell split squats. So that's something I do for my people at home. So people will say, what do you do for quads for somebody who doesn't have different machines and you don't want to just do tons of squatting? Well, we have those things. We have single leg exercises. We're done with a barbell or a dumbbell. Have him do glute bridges. We're running into a lot of trouble with the glute bridges on his range of motion, though. And I keep having to tell him, we need to back the weight down. Right? We back the weight down so that we can get that range of motion that we want. But even if we don't, it's at the end of the world on a glute bridge. It's a nice, big, heavy exercise. Right? Now, here I would like to see him get a little more range of motion. There we go. He started off a little soft on the range of motion on these split squats. But this is what we can do for quads. You can do single leg exercises where we can rotate through them, split squats, lunges, step ups. Okay? It can be done with dumbbells. It can be done with barbells. Because I don't have most of my lifters, do a lot of back squatting. Some of them do. I would rather they do exercises that are easier to recover from to build their quads and adductors. We can save the squatting for max work and speed work. Now, before people say, well, can someone really build an elite squat doing that? Yeah, you guys have seen me post squats in the 550, 600 plus range from some of my lifters. And that's raw. That's no reps. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. You don't need a lot of rep work on the squat. I'm not saying you can't do a lot of rep work on the squat, and I'm not saying it can't be a successful strategy. I just find that it beats up lifters for no reason. Right? Save it for the heavy work or for the dynamic work. Of course, here you notice his garage has changed. He's moved, so he's having a little trouble with the car in the way on getting his leg raises, but that's okay. Again, he's moved into a bigger place here. Obviously, though, where he lives, there's always going to be space constraints when he's training at home. So, let's see, dynamic effort upper day. What do we have? Speed bench. Okay, we do speed bench. We do incline benching. We do chin-ups, rows, JM presses, lateral raises. A nice, good balance training with the basics. Just the basics. That lower body day, what do we have? Good mornings, split squats, glute bridges, hanging leg raises. All right? Now, some people will question, well, where's all the hamstring work? Well, that's the good mornings. I had someone ask me that on that. Well, he does good mornings. Plus, we do speed pulls and stuff. The speed pulls will hit hamstrings fairly well. Glute bridges do work hamstrings. So everything's being hit from a couple angles. Glute bridges, that's a good one to think about. You know, that will come up all the time. If you say, well, that's just a glute exercise. Is it? It's a glute dominant exercise, but you're telling me the quads don't work? Okay. The quads are in a lengthened position. Okay, yes, it's a partial for the quads. But where is it a partial at? Is it a partial in the range of motion it has the least growth or the most growth? Okay, it's in the lengthened position of the quadricep. Well, that's the range of motion that has the most potential for hypertrophy or muscle growth, right? Not what I say, that's what the research shows. In other words, that squeezing and contracted position on an exercise actually produces the least muscle growth. If you only do half of a movement, but yeah, studies show consistently that if you only do half of a range of motion on an exercise, if you do the half with the lengthened position versus the contracted position, the lengthened position almost always produces more muscle growth. Now, in an ideal environment, you want a full range of motion. Right? Full range of motion tends to do best in studies, but not every time. There have been studies on some muscles and exercises that find that the lengthened position produces just as much range of motion as the full range of motion on some movements and some muscles. So that should speak volumes right there about the importance of it. Almost consistently, the contracted range of motion produces less than the other or full range of motion. Not every time, but the majority of the time. It's pretty consistent. So you come over and ask about something like the glute bridge. It puts the quadricep into a lengthened position and it loads it through a partial range of motion. All right, glute bridges can help build quads. All right, they can help build quads. Keeping in mind, it's not the only thing he's doing. He's doing split squats and he's doing speed box squats. All right? So all these muscles are being hit from a couple different angles. He doesn't have any muscle that isn't being worked by at least two angles, even with the most basic of movements and equipment. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.